what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new episode. It's a new episode of LonsTV. It's not over. I know I haven't been regularly doing episodes for a couple weeks now. I think I did like 2 weeks ago and then none last week. I'm sorry. I've been back to working like a full schedule at all my different jobs, and it's just been a lot going on lately. I've been really busy, and I just really haven't, not only have I not had time to like film episodes and really felt like I could do a good job, but I really haven't even been watching that much stuff. I just didn't really have much to review. I haven't had time. I'm working on like 3 different books, but I haven't gotten to finish any of them, so I can't review those. I haven't picked up a new video game in forever. I've been watching a lot less movies because I've just been, writing and working, and so it sort of just got away from me. But this weekend, we were supposed to do an episode of This Week in Movies, but with the rain, Farrell got stuck in Santa Barbara, and it was tough for everybody to make it to the studio, so we didn't do an episode. So I now have some movies backed up that I've watched that we didn't get to talk about on that show. So I figured, why not bring back LonsTV and do them here? And I may try to get to it more this week and do a web series Wednesday and keep it going. So I promise I'm going to try to do a little bit better. Like, I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room, and of course I used that to just give up on doing the show entirely, but I'm gonna bring it back. So anyway, the first movie I want to talk about that I watched for This Week in Movies that we didn't get to do on the show is The Lincoln Lawyer. I actually saw it at a screening last week, and then we didn't get to talk about it on Sunday on the show because we didn't do a show. It's based on one of those like airport law novels, like a legal thriller that's just designed to be like beach reading by Michael Connelly. The movie stars Matthew McConaughey as like a slick LA defense attorney, and he usually gets driven around in the back of this Lincoln town car, and that's like his mobile office, and he defends, like bikers and thugs, and he's sort of street smart. That's kind of the gimmick at the beginning, and he's usually just defending like street criminals, but then he gets sucked into this case where he's representing this like wealthy heir, as played by Ryan Phillippe, who is under arrest for beating and raping a prostitute. And like the trailer pretty much gives away that at first he's sort of vigorously defending him and he believes that he's innocent, and then there's like a halfway point where he sort of realizes like maybe this guy isn't exactly what he seems, and then a couple other things I won't spoil happen that sort of raise the stakes, and it becomes clear that Phillipe is either genuinely guilty or at least a menace that is going to need to be dealt with, and it's all the sort of machinations there. I feel like the story worked better as a novel. There's a lot of different strands, there's a lot of different like threads going on simultaneously, and it doesn't feel like any of them really build the way they should. Like, unlike most movies in this style, Primal Fear is the one that sort of jumps to mind. It's a better film than this. But it's sort of like the intensity builds over time until by the time you get to like the big courtroom action at the end, everything hangs on like one last minute bit of lawyering or whatever. And this movie just doesn't really feel like it builds that way. It just kind of zigs and zags, and it has a couple twists, and I didn't necessarily see everything coming, but it's just never really that interesting. It reminded me a lot of an episode of like Law and Order or like Detroit 187 or one of those kind of shows. Like, you throw it on late at night, it's nice to have something keeping you busy for like an hour, but it's like relaxing because you don't really have to invest that much in it. It's not really asking that much from you, and then it sort of wraps up and it's done, and you really don't even go back. Like Law and Order, I can watch an episode of Law and Order and not realize until like 40 minutes in that I've seen it before. It's like that. It's just sort of anonymous, and it's like, the sort of suggestion of drama, but without really being that intense or really that interesting or unique in any sort of way. And that's what this movie sort of felt like. Also, it's weird, the concept of McConaughey's character, his name is Mick Haller, which very like book, like nobody's really named something like Mick Haller. It's like only the protagonist of a novel. So we get, like, the first 20 minutes of the movie is very much like he's in this car, and there's, like, bikers he's doing deals with on the road, and he's kind of funny. It's a good character from McConaughey. The dialogue is good for him. It's well realized, and then they just sort of drop all of that story, and it just becomes this very sort of standard issue lawyer movie. And like by about an hour in, like I totally forgot about like the Lincoln stuff and that he was like this sort of street smart guy who had like a good slick answer for everybody. And it just becomes like very standard issue. He could be any nameless movie attorney. And that's really weird that they kind of lost the thread like that. They get caught up in the ins and outs of the sort of complex mystery at the heart of the thing, they kind of lose the characters and the sort of narrative thread along the way. Phillipe is also a problem. God, the guy is, I mean, he's not always terrible. There have been movies I've enjoyed him in, but he's just so bland here. He's neither convincing as an innocent guy. You don't really believe that he's innocent ever. You kind of always know there's something shady about him, but he's not menacing either. So it's just kind of nothing. One of the big issues, I think, with the whole movie is there's a lot of great actors in it, and they all have really small parts. Like William H. Macy, Michael Pena, Bob Gunton, who everybody should remember is the warden from Shawshank Redemption, but he's been in a million things and he's always great. Bryan Cranston, the great Bryan Cranston, star of Breaking Bad, and all those guys have like 5 minutes here and there, and then the whole movie is McConaughey and Ryan Phillippe, and it's like, really? That was, like, it just feels like, you know, you don't want to have all this great ensemble of, like, fun characters. I mean, John Leguizamo's in there, too, Marisa Tomei, lots of talented people, very little screen time for any of them. It's all focused on McConaughey and Ryan Phillippe. And Shea Wingham, that's the other guy. I think it's Shea Wingham? Anyway, he has been brilliant in a bunch of things. Risk Cutters, A Love Story, which is a movie I really liked. It's on Netflix streaming that you should check out. He's hilarious in that. He's great in Boardwalk Empire. He's Nucky Thompson's brother in Boardwalk Empire, and he's terrific in that. He's great here, too, and it's like a one-scene role. Somebody's going to put this guy in like a main role in a movie, and he's going to become famous, because he's awesome. And like, I feel like he's always great in these little parts, except Risk Cutters, which is a pretty decent part. And like, I keep waiting for him to like become famous, and it has not happened yet. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, and yet he's very talented. And the last thing I'll say is I'll end it on a bright note for Lincoln Lawyer. It's set in Los Angeles, and it really was filmed here, and it really feels like L.A. Even little scenes where he's like pulling the car over on the side of the freeway to talk to some guys or something, like it's got a real L.A. vibe. And after like Battle Los Angeles, and there's been a bunch of movies recently, I feel like, where they're set in L.A., and I don't believe for a second it's really L.A. It's so sort of just anonymous, or in some cases, like Battle Los Angeles, and I talked about this on This Week in Movies, it looks nothing like LA. It was filmed in Shreveport and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and then, which, like, LA, Louisiana, but I don't think that's what they meant by that title. It's supposed to be Santa Monica, and I mean, anybody, like, millions of people pass through Santa Monica every day, and like, all those people are going to know that this isn't Santa Monica. It's like trees, and it looks suburban and southern, and I mean, it's not even remotely close to passing. I don't even know why they would try that. It's so stupid. But anyway, this movie is a real LA movie, and I appreciated it having like the vibe of actually being set in Los Angeles. And some geographical knowledge about the city, which Battle LA makes such a big deal out of it. Like, we're going to post at Lincoln, and then at Venice, and then you meet us at Washington. And it's like, you can't accurately, you depict any of those places. Why even bother? All right, so that's my review of Lincoln Lawyer. I will be back tomorrow. I saw Paul. I've been watching stuff on Netflix streaming. We actually have a lot that we can cover. And I watched Let Me In on Blu-ray the other day. There's so much we can talk about. So I got a whole week's worth of shows probably at least. So I will be back with more tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I will see you on another episode of the no longer on hiatus LonSTV.